another edition of The Night Shift. We've got a fun episode for you guys today. We're going to be talking to some friends that are new, some friends that are old, and they comprise Nicks in Time. And they're out there all the time doing a great Stevie Nicks tribute. I want to thank Doc, Kathy, Greg for making the time. Thanks for spending some time with me today on The Night Shift.
Well, thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
It's nice to be had.
Yes. Yeah, isn't it though? Yeah. In 2025? Yeah, how about it? So, Kathy, I'm going to start with you. And this is where I always like to start out. When did you get the music bug, and when did you know that this was something that you were going to be doing for a lifetime?
Since I was a little girl, my dad used to sit me on his lap and he would sing like, "Hey, good looking, you know, what you got cooking?"
Yeah.
You know, different stuff like that, and I'd sing along.
Hank Williams.
Yes. And then, you know, I was hooked.
Yeah.
You know, my father brought me into the music.
Yeah.
You know, they
That's-
always had all the Conway Twitty,
Yeah.
Loretta Lynn, you know,
The good
Kitty
country,
Wells.
if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah, the good stuff.
Good country western.
Yeah. Back when they called it country
Right.
and western.
Yes.
Yeah. So when did you start singing?
I'd say probably around 5 and 6.
Yeah.
I would enter talent shows,
Yeah.
and my dad would take me. Yeah.
He knew he had a little singer on his
Yes.
hands, didn't he?
Yes,
Yeah.
he did.
So, you know, I've seen you perform. Were you, for lack of a better term, when you were 5 and 6 and you were singing in talent shows, were you kind of a little ham? Did you already have a little bit of
Yeah,
that
a little
stage
bit.
stuff going on?
I used
Yeah.
to, you know, stare at myself in the mirror and with my brush, and
Yeah.
you know, I'd be like, "Stop! Oh yes, wait a minute, Mr. Post." You know, I'd do
Yeah.
a whole skit,
Oh, yeah.
choreographed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So in high school, like first band.
I was in chorus, so that helped a good bit. You know, it played a lot of role as well. Then I met up with a couple, and we played just acoustic stuff. They had a bluegrass band,
Yeah.
so I liked to play mandolin.
Mhm.
So I was always around a lot of people that were into the music.
Yeah.
And then when I was 18, I started singing with a gentleman, Ken Liner, from Lidditz. And then I got my own country band going called County Line. And we played out 4 or 5 nights a week.
Yeah.
We opened up for a lot of national acts, you know. Actually, Terry Gaiman from Angelique Productions, he got us a lot. And then I met the Claires, and
Sure.
they helped. And
Yeah.
so I knew the Claires and Tate a very long time.
Yeah. Yeah, and look what it's become now.
Yes.
Who would have
Yes.
thought?
Yes.
Yeah. Now it's a campus
Yeah.
with a hotel. Yeah.
They really love the young, you
Yeah.
know, bringing them in and stuff. And they're very kind and generous
Yeah, good people.
Yeah.
Absolutely, no doubt. So, Doc, what about you? When I mean, you've been doing this a long time, man. Like, when did you first? Hey, music is for me.
Well, there was a piano in the house ever since I can remember, and about 6 years old, started taking lessons. Did that for about a year, and from there went self-taught. Music books, anything that seemed interesting, you open it up, sit there, and try and play it, and you know, just never really stopped after that.
When did you, or did somebody else tell you? When did you have a realization like, I might be pretty good at this?
Oh, about by the end of high school through the early college days.
Yeah. Yeah. Was that other people telling you, or did you kind of come to that realization? It's okay to say, one day I just decided, yeah, you know what? I'm pretty good. Did that happen to yourself, or did other people kind of guide you that way?
Never really thought about it that way. Just did it because I wanted to.
Just did it because you just wanted to play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Greg, you and I have
A rich history.
a rich history.
Oh, you poor thing.
Yeah. That we were talking about.
A rich
before.
and sordid
Yeah,
history.
right before the episode started. So, and we'll get to that a little bit, but same thing. And I should, obviously Kathy, lead vocals in Nixon Time. Doc plays keyboards and some guitar, and Greg's the newcomer, but everybody
New
knows
kid.
Greg. Yeah, and guitar player extraordinaire.
Thank you.
When absolutely, you deserve it. When did you get the bug, or when did music become a thing that you thought, this is where I'm going?
Well, I was really into baseball until I was around 9, and then I started playing guitar, and everything else stopped. And I just, like Doc, I just never quit. And in high school, played high school dances back when we did that kind of stuff. And when I was at Penn State, I played in a pretty good band. And then when I got out of college, I really started working at it. So I'd have a job during the day, but I pretty much played, just about every night. Back when we could play every night.
Yeah,
And
I miss those days.
I just,
Yeah. There was bands every night, every night.
Absolutely.
And to your point, Kathy, like Monday night when you could see a country band, and Tuesday night you might see a bluegrass band. Wednesday night would be a rock band,
Yes.
and miss those days. But anyway,
yeah, we'd get on our motorcycles and go out and, who do we want to see tonight? Because
Yeah.
everybody's playing, and it's a
Right.
Wednesday,
Right.
And,
and
that's
places
changed.
were full.
Support
Yeah.
live music,
Yeah.
people.
Yes.
Support live music while you have it.
Yeah, that's what we're
But
here. Yeah,
I just kind of, and I started doing studio work and
yeah,
hiring on, and I work on them all day and I play them at night.
yeah, yeah. We'll talk more about that too. So we've got some of your history. Doc, where are you from?
Not Myerstown.
Myerstown, Lebanon County, right?
Yep. A
Yeah.
little small town farm country.
Yeah. And Kathy?
Lidditz.
Lidditz.
Yes,
So
I
did you go
live-
to Warwick?
No,
Oh, okay.
actually, I moved to Lidditz in 1991.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
1991. And I live like a hop, skip, and jump to Rock Lidditz.
I would say from
Yeah.
Clare Brothers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Greg?
Mechanicsburg.
Mechanicsburg. Did you graduate? You a Wildcat?
No, I graduated from Gettysburg High School.
Oh, Gettysburg
Class
High
82.
School. Okay, okay, there you go. So you guys all have, definite local connection, at least
Yes.
to like the central PA region, which is really, really cool. So let's talk about Nixon Time, and Kathy, I'll start with you. I mean, this is your opportunity to those that aren't indoctrinated to what you guys do. Tell me about Nixon Time. I know, but act like I don't.
Yeah.
Tell me about Nixon Time.
Okay. I started out in 2019, and then, the COVID hit and everything shut down. And, but I was determined. And so I got a couple people together, and they were skeptic at first. They're like, okay, but we'll give us 3 or 4 songs, and then we'll go and book a studio, and we'll have a rehearsal.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I did. And when I opened my mouth and everything came together, they were like, yeah.
Okay,
So
yeah.
So that, and I had a couple, people that had to leave through, different things.
Yeah. We all have
But,
lives.
right,
we all have jobs,
right.
I get it. Yeah, I get it.
And but now these guys, and I have Greg, which is an extraordinary
Yeah.
guitar player,
Yeah.
and singer.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Doc, what's the, we're talking about not only, Stevie Nicks music, but I know you also dabble in some of the Fleetwood Mac stuff too. As a keyboard player, what's the challenge / enjoyment of playing this music?
No, there's no challenge to it.
Yeah.
It's fun to play. I've been a Fleetwood Mac fan for a long time, and this was an opportunity to play it, and that's what makes it fun. I get to play the stuff.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is, too, having seen you at a sold-out West Shore Theater, people love the music. I mean, it's personal to me, and it's personal to your audience. And I'm sure you can see it when you start and people,
They light up.
yeah, yeah, they do. Because that music is absolutely iconic. And so's all that solo Stevie stuff,
Right.
especially into the 80s and
Yes.
all of that stuff is just iconic. And Greg, I'm sure you can identify with this now that you've joined the band and you're playing these songs. You know, I'm sure you have memories.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Yeah, when you're playing the song and you're going,
Sitting as a kid, sitting down and trying to figure out how the hell Lindsay played the things he played.
yeah,
I've always been fascinated at because he's a definitely a unique guitar player, and the irony is that Buckingham Nicks, the record that got them into Fleetwood Mac, is one of my favorite records of all time.
I could not agree more. I believe that is 1976.
I don't know.
Yeah.
74.
74. Okay, 74.
But man, what a
I
great
agree.
record.
It's a great record. For fans out there that have never listened to that Buckingham Nicks record, which was the record they did together, you know, they as a couple that got them into Fleetwood Mac. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Check that record
Oh
out.
my
It is
god! And I sat down and I
fantastic.
learned all the songs.
Yeah.
Figured them out. And as a kid, being a guitar player, there wasn't. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have YouTube. Shows you how to play everything. It was dropping the needle in the groove, dropping the needle in
Yeah.
the groove, and I wore out Ted Nugent records. I wore out early Van Halen records. I wore out the Who records, every Beatles record, just trying to learn as much as I could. And when that record came along, there was just something about that, and the beauty is that continued through Fleetwood Mac, and then Stevie, God bless her, kind of took that, added a little Tom Petty influence, and created an iconic career.
Yeah.
And when they called me and asked me to play, honestly, it wasn't my first choice. I mean, Stevie Nicks tribute. All right, let me sit down and think about it, because I was aware, but I had not really delved into the Stevie solo stuff. And once I sat down and started learning the songs that they had given me on a list, I really dug it. I really dug it. And then when I met these two, they came to my house and we had a meeting, and just two absolutely wonderful people,
Yeah.
and I was hooked. So, and
Yeah.
we've become a family.
Yeah.
And,
That's awesome.
And it's really cool. The band I was in, we were not quite getting traction. You saw us at the Christmas show.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it was a great band, but we just couldn't make it happen. With these guys, the rooms are full,
Yeah.
and we come out a little bit at a time, and then when she walks out, the place goes apeshit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
Yeah. Yeah.
And everybody that comes to see us is cool.
Yeah.
So I'm thrilled. This is an absolute blast. The standards are very high. The standards of musicianship are very high. And with Jamie Furman and Liam Galliano, our drummer and bass
Right.
player, and myself and Doc, the core band is really, really good.
Yeah.
We rehearsed 3 times before our first show.
Yeah.
And we've still only rehearsed 3 times.
Yeah.
And we played 3 gigs. And if you watch any of the videos on the Nixon Time Facebook, or I
Right.
share them on mine,
Right.
you'll see people that really, really like what they're doing.
Yeah, we certainly invite everybody to watch those videos and check it out. You know, it's interesting you should bring that up, and Doc, I'll throw this one at you. You talked about, you know, bass, drums, you know, a unit with the keys. I think that's one thing, whether it's Fleetwood or into the Stevie stuff in the 80s, is that as a fan, is, you know, Fleetwood Mac always, they're one of those bands, and Stevie Nicks is one of those artists that always was a star, and they were stars, and there was always a lot of talk about the inner turmoil, and you know, they got a lot of headlines because of all of the infighting and everything that went on. But sometimes I think what gets lost in that, Doc, is how unbelievable the musicianship is behind all of that. You know, and specifically guitar, bass, drums, keys, and how unbelievable they were as a band throw out all the crap about the personalities and the infighting. You know, so what's that challenge like to try to replicate that musicianship?
Well, again, it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes a little effort to first replicate the sounds of the instruments, but that's something that's just part of the job. It's what we do. Learn the parts, but it's just so much fun, and the challenge is how to not have too much fun while you're doing it.
Right?
Absolutely.
And we
did,
do.
man.
We really do.
I sit and spend a lot of time on the synths, creating the sounds, because I want them to be as authentic as I can make them. And it's just, yes, ooh, cool, nice, that sound, yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
And it's just so much fun.
How much time do you spend, and I know you've been doing it a while, but how much time do you spend like with the catalog and trying to, do you have it now, or do you still spend time with the catalog trying to make sure like tone and sound is where you think it should be?
I do spend a lot of time when I first learn the song.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're rushing and, we got to learn 5 songs real quick, and then I'll definitely want to go back and review them. And, I've done that and picked up, this is actually a little different from what I've been playing, and correct myself and relearn it. But the whole point is just to keep making it better and better as much as we can.
Yeah. Kathy, to the skeptics out there who would say, and quite frankly, I'll be honest, maybe I was one of them. First time that I went, okay, somebody's going to come out and do Stevie. Yeah, okay.
Right.
Sure, this ought to be good. Yeah, get your popcorn ready. Somebody's going to come out and do Stevie next. So, look, it takes a lot of courage, right?
Yeah.
It takes a lot of courage to come out
Yes, it does.
and
be the eye of the show.
eye of the
you know.
show and sing those parts of an icon. And you know that every time you go out, obviously, there's people seeing you, me, for the first time.
Yeah.
So, talk about that. What's that like? What's the pressure, fun?
It is, some of it I do have a little pressure because I am the vocal,
Yeah.
and to get her right, I watch her videos all the time through the years, and I try to imitate. That's what you do. And everybody said I have her down packed.
Yeah.
I said, well, as much
You
as I
certainly-
watch her videos,
You certainly
I
got the
should.
hair. You were blessed with the hair. Yeah, from the get-go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Honey, I had older siblings, and back in 1976, when I first heard Rhiannon, I was hooked.
Yeah.
I was hooked. And I followed her, all
So you
through
were
that
always-
video.
you were always a
her
fan.
and Mr. Tom Petty.
Yeah.
He was one of my favorites
Right.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had the really great guys in Get Petty on a previous episode here, and it's funny the cross pollination because, you're bringing up Tom Petty, those guys brought up Stevie Nicks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, honey, they go together.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And he did. He wrote her a song
Yeah,
that made her solo career just take off.
yeah, and at one point in time, she was. I think she was in the Heartbreakers for like a week.
She's an
Yeah.
honorary artist.
Yeah. I think she was officially in a band for a week, and then of course, like Fleetwood Mac was like, no.
Right.
Yeah. We can patch things up
Right.
again. Yeah. And make things work. So, God love you for getting out there and doing it.
Yeah,
It's
I
not
know.
easy. Are you having a
It's
good
just
time?
something I do. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It just comes natural to me.
Yeah.
I always wanted to play in plays at school and act and
Mm-hmm.
do things like that. So.
I think it comes across to the audience that you're having a good time doing
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I like about all the people I have.
Yeah.
You're there to have a good time.
Yeah.
So
Greg, your background as a guitar player, I'm just being honest here. You know, I wouldn't necessarily, I get it. I wouldn't necessarily, knowing you and knowing the kind of guitar player you are, I wouldn't, Lindsey Buckingham is a different animal.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's got to be fun for you.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I, when you've been doing, I'm 61 years old.
Yeah.
Right. I've been playing, for about a minute or two,
Yeah.
and you look for challenges. Challenges validate who you are. When you can hear something and go, I need to recreate that, and I need to make it look easy while I'm recreating it, and it's a drastically different technique. I love that. I love that. I want to be challenged, and the beautiful thing about these are my bosses right here,
Yeah.
and the beautiful thing is they let me do whatever I want. They're not saying, Greg, you have to play it exactly like this version of this, of that, or whatever. And Waddy Wachtel, who is the musical director for Stevie's band, he doesn't play the Lindsey stuff exactly like Lindsey.
Right.
But
Right.
the forehead and the bridge of the nose is the same. You
Yeah.
can tell. That's the main thing for Rhiannon. I don't want to play Rhiannon like a Judas Priest song.
Right.
So for me, coming from the background that I've had, being more of a hard rock guitar player
Right.
and a blues guitar player.
That's what I was kind of getting at.
Yeah.
It's like, I know you as a little bit more of hard rock / blues, and with a long history of doing both. So this is a little bit of a departure
Yeah.
off the side of the road, but it's got to be fun.
It's a
Yeah.
parallel spur,
Yeah.
because a lot of the techniques and things that I've used to play other kinds of music still apply with this. And the important thing is they don't call it working music; they call it playing music. And as Doc has said, it's fun.
Yeah.
And if you watch the videos, what's going on is we're enjoying each other. We're all kind of sitting back and going, wow, this actually, I would pay to see this band, which, I've been in some bands I wouldn't pay to see.
That's cool. No, and I love the honesty. Yeah.
And I spent most of my adult life, what a lot of people in the area don't know is I've done so much studio work.
Right.
I used to go up to New York City and do studio work because I was non-union, so they would pay me cash and not pay the union guys and this and that, whatever. And I played on all kinds of records.
The magical
on radio.
2 words, non-union.
Yeah, non-union.
Yeah.
Yeah, unions never work for musicians.
Yeah.
But I've had producers that I would show up at a session and they would say, all right, this is what you need to do, and they would play it for me. And I had to kind of develop the ability of being a chameleon on a short-term basis.
Yeah.
But with this band, the beauty is that Waddy has his guitar style, Lindsey has his guitar style, and mine rubs up against both of those. I don't sound, I'm not as accurate playing the guitar parts as she is singing the vocals.
Right.
Doc and I kind of, because we have fewer instruments, we don't have 27 people on stage.
Right.
I'm kind of filling out, and
Yeah.
I got a little bigger footprint than, say, Lindsey on some of these songs.
Yeah.
And it's fun to pull it off. And let's be honest, my job as the guitar player is not really to be noticed so much as my job is to make her look like the most important person in the
Right.
world. And I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And I get to step out and do a solo and here and there and
Yeah.
whatever. But in general, my job is really as a support person, and I'm thriving in that.
Yeah. Well, football teams don't win without a great offensive line.
The water boy.
Yeah. or the water boy.
I'm the water boy of Nixon time.
You're a modest guy, Greg.
Right,
You're a
right,
very
yes, he
modest,
is.
very, very modest. You said something, and you said about having to. Do you find yourself, aside from just doing the Lindsey licks, for lack of a better term, do you find yourself having to, or is it just more kind of your style to help fill out the sound a little bit at times?
Yeah. I've back in the '80s, I was in a band called Plain Jane, which was 4-piece, female lead singer that played keyboards and occasional guitar. But it was pretty much me, and we were doing, you know, Whitesnake, Def Leppard, and all that, and I was doing it with one guitar, and I learned even back then to what would basically take up as much audible space as possible
Yeah.
without killing the vocals.
Yeah.
And then with Citizen Kane, we were absolutely a 2-guitar band, and so we had to try to not step on each other. And the thing, I love the way Doc plays, so I listen to him. He's fairly loud in my mix, and so what I'm trying to do is not step on what Doc's doing, but kind of fill around, because the keyboards are really the primary instrument in this organization.
Yeah.
We could play the show without guitar, and the audience would still have a nice time, but we could not play it without Doc.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Doc, talk about that. I mean, talk about,
Yeah.
and I know you're having fun, right? Yeah, yeah. But, you know, it's interesting you should say that, Greg, and I couldn't agree more, even though I'm obviously not in the band and not a musician, but the
Not
keys,
yet.
Not yet. Yeah,
Your
we're
audition
working on
is
it.
next
Yeah.
week.
Okay.
We need
all
a
right.
dancer.
Only if I can use my hair gel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Product.
Yeah. Product.
Product.
Product. Talk about the keys, and that is such a big part of the sound, and like Greg mentioned, up in the mix for good reason.
Well, yeah. There are a lot of keyboard prominent songs, but I will disagree with them a little slightly on the balance. The guitar is very important, and we find the right balance. You know, we both have our areas of the songs where we're a little more prominent,
Yep.
and it blends wonderfully. And I tell you,
Yeah.
it's a real pleasure working with this guy.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Well, Kathy, so
Yeah.
talk about ego or lack thereof.
She hates both of us.
Yeah. But it's
I don't
hard.
have- I don't-
That's what kills a lot of bands is
But I don't,
ego.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
don't have one.
Yeah.
That's what everybody says. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
no, I'm just me.
I'll
Yeah.
agree with that.
You know, I feed everybody. When I practice, you know,
Yeah.
I always bring some good stuff.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
because I like the garden,
Yeah.
and I can, grow my own veggies and
Right.
can.
She's a
Right.
real
And I
mom.
always-
Yeah.
She's the band mom.
And leader. Yeah, leader and mom. Yeah. Well, so you said 3 shows now with this new.
Yeah, we've had 3 rehearsals, and then we did 3 shows.
Yeah. Okay, so not to disparage anybody, and I have yet to see the new incarnation, but not to disparage anybody that has been a part of this project before, Kathy, tell me why you're so excited about the future of this band.
Oh, well, I got my girls finally,
Yeah.
Natasha and Julia, because I want to recreate Stevie's solo career,
Yeah.
you know. And from her Fleetwood Mac, but, you know, it's all the songs that she wrote, even in with Buckingham Nicks. But I want everything to look and sound exactly like you're at one of her concerts.
Right.
You know, it's very important to
Yeah.
me that the people get what they paid for.
Thank you.
You know,
Isn't that refreshing?
Oh, yeah.
you know, and
very
without
important.
without
Yeah,
them, honey,
Yeah,
there
right.
wouldn't be a Nixon time.
Right.
And I always thank them
Yeah.
because without them, I wouldn't be living out my dream.
Yeah. Well, that's sweet. And yeah, I mean, having seen you, the audience appreciation. Yeah, you know, I mean, you looked out the West Shore Theater and there wasn't an empty seat. And you're like-
I am, you know.
That was your first time
grateful.
being there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I am very grateful.
Yeah, and it was like,
to
wow,
have
yeah,
the
this is,
fans and friends.
Yeah.
You know, that music brings
Yeah.
together.
yes,
Yeah.
that's what it's really all about
I'm sorry,
at
I
the end of the day.
get teary-eyed.
No, it's okay. I think
I'm a
it's,
very sentimental person.
no, I think it's, music
I-
is emotional.
Yes,
more
it
than
is.
anything
It
else.
is.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Right.
it's
When
emotion.
we played, our first show was at the Allen Theater in Anvil, which was fun. It was a lot of fun, but we were all kind of like, "Is this going to work or not?" And the audience really held us up. the audience already loved us before they even knew us.
Yeah.
And again, me coming in from my background, this was
Sure.
I was terrified. I was literally, and I have the worst stage fright. So 5 minutes before stage time, I'm such a jackass. I can't handle anything. I tune my guitar over and over and over and over. And once we started playing, they were so welcoming. They sang along with everything. And then the next night, we drove all the way out to Indiana, PA, and played this really cool theater,
Oh.
the Indiana Theater.
Yeah, it was really nice.
And when we walked out there was nobody from this area.
Right.
But it was still absolutely jammed full of people, and they came down and they were dancing down front and everything. And when you're on stage, you look out at the faces. And I can admit, I have been in bands where I looked out at the faces and I saw boredom, I saw anger, I saw annoyance.
We don't get it, whatever.
Yeah, what's the point? They're not getting it.
Yeah.
I would look out at people and they're all having fun.
Yeah.
I saw absolutely nobody like this. And to be in Indiana where all they knew was that we played the music of Stevie Nicks,
Right.
and to have so many people come out and then for them to sing along with everything, it was really impressive. And
Yeah.
then we just played at the Double Barrel in Redline, and the week before, I was deathly ill. Kathy was very sick. Jamie, our drummer, and my doctor told me I needed a couple weeks of bed rest, and I said, no, I'm on stage in 4 days, brother. We
Yeah,
gotta go after it.
Yeah.
And the thing is, when you watch that video, I don't know how we pulled it off, but we all wanted to play with. We want to do this.
Yeah.
It's what's driving us.
And that's a neat venue. And was that your
Yeah.
first time there?
No, we were there a couple other times.
A couple other times, yeah. But first time in this,
with
Yeah,
this,
with
yeah, with this lineup.
With the
Yeah,
lineup.
yeah.
And I was just thrilled to be on stage again.
Yeah.
Being on stage or on motorcycle is the only time I'm ever really comfortable as a human being.
Yeah.
And I was utterly thrilled to be playing with my new family, and the audience helped us. Our vocals were a little sketchy here and there, but man, they made up for it. And I told them, we were sick this week and things are going to be a little rough. And they hooted and hollered and they said, we got you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
for us to be able to do this, to back Kathy up and do this, because this is Kathy's vision, and it's all about Kathy. And for us to be able to do that, the audience actually becomes another member of the band.
Yeah.
And I've honestly had very little experience where I walk into a venue and we've already won the battle. I mean, literally, you prove yourself every time you get on stage. With this band, we've already won, and the people are just absolutely wonderful.
So, after hearing you say all that, my only regret, literally, as I sit here right now, is that I'm not seeing you guys tonight.
I'm bummed we're not playing tonight.
Fired up, yeah. Yeah. Speaking of which, Kathy, tell everybody the website where they can find you guys on the web.
Nixon Time Band.
NixonTimeBand.
Yep.
.com.
.com.
Okay.
NixonTime.com.
Com.
Nixon Time.
Oh, just
Dot
Nixon
com.
Time.
Yeah,
Okay, just
NixonTime.com.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's important. Yeah,
Yeah.
Just,
Very
yeah.
important.
So just nixontime.com.
Yeah.
We'll put a link up along with this. And speaking of which, like any shows that you can think of offhand that
April
are
15th.
yeah,
We're at.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness!
Right.
I just happen to have it right here.
Feel free to check your phone.
Yeah, you hit the
yeah.
tour
Yeah,
tab.
there you go. Oh, there's a tour tab on the
Tour
website.
tab.
Okay.
Tab.
So Saturday, April 12th, we
Oh,
are
the
at
12th.
the Majestic Theater in historic Pottsville, Pennsylvania. It's a cool little theater. Friday the 25th, we're playing Springfest in Ocean City.
Wow.
Wednesday, May 7th, Shy Bear Brewing Company in Lewistown.
Oh, that's so fun up there.
Sunday, May 25th, Unwind of the Water in Elkton, Maryland, and there's a whole bunch of other stuff out
Wow. Yeah. So
there.
that's
Play some
awesome.
great venues.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, you got to be stoked. I mean,
Oh, I am.
Yeah.
I'm with this lineup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If that was the vision in 2019 and in COVID, and now here we sit and look at what you've got coming up in
That's
2025.
what I tell everybody.
Yeah.
Honey, I am extremely blessed.
Yeah.
Because it takes bands years
Yeah.
to get, and I worked for the rec center in Lidditz, so like I said, the Clare brothers, they're on the
Yeah.
board and,
Yeah.
and stuff, and they knew that I sang, and they knew that I had a metal band called Conviction. But then when I said I was going to make, and start the Stevie Nicks thing, and I would go around singing all day long, and they're like, as soon as you do, let us know.
Yeah.
And so that's how I got my first show.
Yeah.
Was at Mickey's Black Box,
Yeah.
and we sold out.
Yeah.
So like I'm just extremely grateful, honey.
Yeah.
And God is good.
From yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Amen.
From amen. From country to bluegrass to metal to Stevie Nicks.
She's confused.
I dig it. Yeah.
She's a little confused, but we love her.
Well, I would say this, and I think a lot of what is happening for the band in a positive direction is obviously word of mouth. I saw you guys at West Shore Theater, and you may remember, Kathy, I didn't know you.
No.
And that was not a show that I was hosting. I just went because I was curious. I love Stevie, love Fleetwood Mac. Went with my wife and some friends. We had dinner prior, and we went to the show, and I freaking loved it. And you may recall, like, I friended you on Facebook
Yes,
right
you
away,
did.
yeah, and friended them, and it started just,
Right,
being
everybody.
like, yeah, go see this, and I wouldn't do that.
Oh.
I wouldn't do that if I thought, well, we're pretty good.
Yeah.
Hey, nice job. I like right away, like, I dug it,
Thank you.
and as a fan, and I'm when I do this, I'm the voice of the fan. I'm the voice of the person that's in the audience. We talked about music being an emotional thing, and it is. I think it's probably the biggest part about music is that it is an emotional experience. When fans go and when they pay their money, and it was one of those shows that I did not get free tickets. I paid my money, and they just want a good show, yes, but they want to feel that the band cares as much about the music as they do.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And it comes across.
That's
you can
important.
tell when people mail it in.
Yeah.
Or it's just maybe the band's having a bad night, not getting along, whatever. When you get out on that stage as a fan, if you get that feeling that the band cares as much, this means as much as it does to you.
Yes.
You can't fake that.
No.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But when we do our first song, and then Kathy steps back, and I go up to the mic, and I just tell the audience, if you came to see Stevie Nicks, you're disappointed. If you came to see people really enjoy the music of Stevie Nicks and celebrate it, and people that really love to play with each other, then you absolutely came to the right place. And the audience really responds to that because we're all fans.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's a tribute band called Get the Lead Out,
Yes.
Oh.
and they are majestic.
Phenomenal.
Yes.
They are
Yes.
majestic.
Seen them a bunch of
Yes.
times. They always do
And
Whitaker Center. Yeah.
Their singer,
Yeah.
Paul Sinclair, who
Yeah.
is a god,
Yeah.
he says, we're not going to dress like Led Zeppelin. We're not going to try to fool you into thinking you're Led Zeppelin. And we're the same way. I mean, we're not going to wear mechanics clothes on stage, but by the
Right.
same token, there's no way I could look like Lindsey Buckingham and Waddy Wachtel. There's
Right.
just no way, and I'm not
Right.
wearing a wig or anything like
Yeah,
that.
right.
So what we're doing is we're a celebration of the music, and the audience already likes us. You don't go to a show. If you go to a race, let's say you go to Pocono to the races, there's
Yeah.
always going to be the people that go for the crashes.
Right.
You're always going to have those people.
Yeah.
But in general, people want to see people do well.
Yeah.
And our audiences, God bless each and every one of them, they are so supportive of us, and they're like, "This is going to be great." You can see it on their face when we walk out. This is going to be great.
Yeah.
And then throughout the show, they're singing at the top of their lungs. They're dancing. They're having a terrific time. And at the end of the night, Kathy and I go out to talk to people, and she gets mobbed.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just there as her bodyguard.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
people don't realize I got a knife. You know, we'll fix that in post.
Yeah, right,
but,
right.
but people really, really, really identify with Kathy, and a lot of that is, she really is who you see. She's a wonderful, kind individual. She won me over when I first met her, and I have not regretted this in
Yeah.
any way, shape, or form.
Yeah. Won you over as a skeptic.
I wasn't so much skeptic as not really interested.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because again, I had a band that I was putting a lot of effort into, and I'm a hired guitar player. Like
Sure.
tonight, I'm playing with Six Whiskey, and
Right.
and then tomorrow night I'm playing at the casino in
Granville.
Allentown or
Oh,
wherever
Allentown, yeah.
with Scott Marshall band.
Okay.
And so I'm a hired gun.
You're a working
And
musician. Yeah,
So
yeah.
when they approached me, I approached it as a job.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I think I can pull
Yeah.
this off.
Yeah.
But Kathy and Doc just,
Yeah.
you know, and we're saying the same stuff over and over, but
No,
it's
but it's
real.
true. Yeah.
They pulled me in. They sat in my living room in my house,
Yeah.
and we had genuine conversation, and we
Yeah.
enjoyed each other.
I
And
brought him whoopie pies.
She brought me whoopie. You feed me, I'm there. I will follow you
look.
to the gates of hell.
I grew up in Lancaster County. Where's my whoopie pies? Okay, come on.
I'll have to
happen.
make
Yeah,
some.
yeah. Now
It'll
you're speaking
happen.
my language,
It'll
but
happen.
yeah.
Or I'll
Yes.
give you some of mine.
There you go, yeah.
I'll
Well,
call
I
you.
did
Yeah.
bring some subs.
Okay.
All right.
So,
We're doing subs after this.
yes.
No, but yeah, to your point, Greg.
Yeah, the audience is the extra member of the band, and they let us know it
Yeah.
from the get-go.
Yeah.
Like I said, all the strangers in Indiana,
Yeah.
they did not know us,
Right.
and
They did by the end of the night. Yeah.
2 songs into it,
Yeah.
we were all best friends.
Yeah.
And I do a thing. I have everybody, you know, I count to 3, and everybody yells out their name,
Yeah.
and now we all know each other.
Right.
You know,
That's-
and
yeah.
I get to. Kathy is a little reserved and soft spoken, so I get to be the game show host and
Yeah.
talk to the audience and everything like
Yeah.
that. Get to
Yeah.
be or have to be. I'm not
Yeah,
quite sure
yeah,
which
yeah.
it is.
It's natural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But and it's fun because I think it was Johnny Carson said, you know, when something doesn't go quite right, let the audience in on it, and they'll appreciate it.
Yeah.
And that's what we do. We're not Stevie Nicks.
Yeah.
But we're trying to make it as close as possible.
Yeah.
And if we can get people to leave saying, I'm glad I came,
Yeah.
next time I go see the band, I'm going to bring so and so, then it's a success
Yeah.
because we just want to play to bigger and bigger crowds
Yeah.
and have more and more fun because
Yeah.
the energy is just there.
When you and I mean this is where I'm at too. Like, you know, it's like, you know, when you see a show that's advertised and it's a band you like, I don't even like. I'm not talking about going to see the Rolling Stones, but I don't even look at the ticket price and I don't care.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Jelly Brick Show, I'm
Yeah,
there.
right. Exactly. It doesn't
Bad
matter.
Leaves,
Yeah.
I'm there.
Right,
Because
doesn't
I
matter.
know
Yeah, right.
it's going to be a great
Right.
experience, and I know I'm going to be standing beside somebody else who's also looking for
Yeah.
that same experience. So you might actually make friends.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Doc doesn't make any friends,
Yeah.
but universally hated.
So I always wrap with, it took me a long time to come up with the name for this, but I call it the Final Four.
Oh,
Yeah, I know.
Sounds so serious.
It's 4 questions. I know. I sat around for days. I'm like, what am I going to call the last 4 questions? I know the final. So it's about the most unoriginal
that's why you make
concept
all
and
the money.
title. No, that's actually why I get the free beer. And thank you, Jeff Carley and Ben and our friends at Movie
Jeff
Audio.
Carley's the man.
Yes.
Jeff Carley
he
is
is.
the man, absolutely. So it's the final 4 questions, and I'll go from my left to right, and Doc, will start with you.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Okay. So, your favorite band or artist of all time?
Of all time, that would have to be Yes. We got turned on to them back in the days when Fragile was a new album. And probably my all-time favorite's Close to the Edge. Fun fact, our videographer was a bass player in a band called Sensei many years ago. And in 2000, we did a reunion show and played the entire Close to the Edge album.
Wow.
Wow.
Now that was a challenge,
Oh yeah.
learning that stuff. Rick Wakeman, obviously,
Yeah.
one of my huge heroes.
Yeah.
But wow, there was nothing else like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Kathy?
Stevie Nicks.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like I said, my siblings, my older siblings, they used to listen to her all the time, my sisters. And
I think you're right. The Buckingham Nicks, I've been thinking about this in the back of my mind, and I'm kicking myself. So I believe the Buckingham Nicks record is 74 because the new Fleetwood Mac and that record that was just called Fleetwood Mac, I believe
Right.
was 75.
right,
The 5, yeah.
5. And
Right.
then Rumors is 77.
right. She
Okay,
wrote
yeah.
Rhiannon like
Yes.
in 10 minutes, and
Yeah.
like 3 or 4 months out, that's when they joined.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it's important for fans. Not that it, but I think it is important for fans to know that, you know, you didn't become a Stevie Nicks fan in 2019. You know,
No,
like yeah, just
from
go,
my
hey,
whole
I think
life.
that yeah, I think this could
Yeah.
work, and my and I think I can sing in her key, and so that's cool that you've been a fan for so long. Greg,
I can't pick one. It's Beatles and Queen.
okay,
I mean,
Yeah.
there's just no way to choose one over the other. They're
Yeah.
both so critical.
yeah, absolutely, yeah, both are way into my wheelhouse, and I'm a prog guy too, Doc. So yeah, all that old Yes stuff. We were talking actually before we started recording, talking about Robert Fripp and King Crimson and all of that. I was a big Rush guy too, and they were very proggy, early on, and ELP and all that stuff. So yeah, I dug all that stuff back in the day. Doc, what is the one song that you wish you would have written?
Tarkus,
Okay, that's an intricate song.
extremely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Is that one that you have played and enjoy playing? And
I've been working on that in bits and pieces for
Yeah.
many years.
yeah,
Now Keith Emerson obviously is one of the most extraordinarily skilled keyboard artists ever, and I will forever struggle to attain that. It's a goal, it's something I work for, but I'll probably spend my last breath trying to get better
Yeah.
and good enough to play his stuff.
yeah. That's really cool. Kathy?
I'd have to say Edge 17. Yeah.
So we talked about audience reaction, or whatever. That's gotta be one of the songs when you guys play it and when you sing it that
Bedlam.
people just
Yeah.
that
They lose
song
their
is
minds.
Yeah.
that song is, and I'm in the
The
I'm
whole
in
album,
yeah,
Belladonna.
Yeah. Well,
was
yeah,
like,
Belladonna's, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that for me was like 6th grade. We all have our
Yep.
Absolutely.
memories of like my buddy's older sister had that record, and we weren't supposed to get into her records, and we would steal her record, and we would listen to that
Right.
constantly. So yeah, that's got to be one of those songs where the audience is just because so many memories.
Yeah.
and
Because
so,
I'm the youngest out of 6.
yeah,
So I wasn't allowed out with my older brothers and sisters, but we had walkie-talkies. So they would say I was their entertainment.
yeah.
So I would sing into the
Oh,
walkie-talkie.
nice. Yeah, I remember those days. Sure. Yeah, I think I had a $6 million man walkie-talkie, but that goes way.
They're
way
like,
back.
Kathy, do
Yeah.
the Paradise by the
Yeah.
Dashboard Light,
Yeah,
Meatloaf,
Do
and
that
I'd be
part,
singing,
yeah. Stop right
Yeah.
there. Yeah,
Stop right there. I gotta know right now.
yeah, perfect. And what's interesting too is that I have friends, some of whom I work with, who are younger, and they weren't alive
Yeah.
when Edge of 17 and Belladonna came out. But they have their own memories to it because their parents turned them on to it or
Yeah,
whatever. Like, I'd be in the back of the car when I was 6 years old. And so what's kind of cool is they might have a memory of that song,
Yeah.
and it's 1996 when they were in the back of mom and dad's car. It's one of those songs.
Yeah.
It's just like, as soon as you hear it start and the vocal, and it's iconic. Greg, song you wish you would have written?
For No One by the Beatles. So much emotion, such a beautiful melody line, simple, basic. I'm willing to bet that the vast majority of the people watching this have never even heard that song.
It's a deep cut, a deep track. I've had this conversation with Shay Quinn
Oh yeah.
about that song.
It's genius.
Yeah, and he's also and I'll be honest with you, it was off my radar. I'm not going to sit here and go, oh, yeah, somebody, a musician,
Oh, I see.
and yeah, you got to seek it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I couldn't do that one, I Can't Make You Love Me by Mike Reed, who we just saw him perform that at the awards the other night.
Yeah,
That was amazing.
Bonnie
Yeah.
Raitt's rendition of that song is just,
yeah,
for me, it is about emotion.
Yeah.
And the beautiful thing, as you said earlier, is that emotion and music are, they're hand in hand. And if a song makes you feel a certain way, then it's a good song.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Doc, you can have lunch. Doesn't have to be in the genre of music. You can have lunch, or it could be, with any person, dead or alive. Who's it going to be?
Probably want to meet Keith Emerson. I never got a chance to meet him in person. He's gone now, sadly. But I have met Rick Wakeman and Patrick Moraz at their concert meet and greets. And they are both wonderful, warm people. Rick Wakeman's hilarious. If you ever seen him get into his comedy sketch, it's it's something. But I would have to pick Keith Emerson.
Yeah, if we could bring it back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kathy?
Well, it would be Stevie.
Yeah.
And then,
Didn't see that one coming.
Right.
and then my second pick would probably have been Mr. Tom Petty.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a great songwriter and just
Yeah.
great musician. Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about when we had to get Petty guys on, and those guys, have all come from, different walks of life, different backgrounds, and there's actually a pretty wide age gap in that band,
Yeah.
and they were all essentially like, who doesn't love Tom? Like, we always dug Tom Petty, did it. But when we started getting this together and really diving into and listening to every record, and they were like,
Yeah.
this guy's a songwriter. Is like, unbelievable. Like, it was like a newfound
Yeah.
appreciation
Yeah.
from those guys going, holy crap, like we always listened to Tom Petty, but and we always liked Tom Petty, but man, once we really started like essentially saying he's criminally underrated
Yeah.
as a songwriter.
Yeah.
If that's possible. I know he gets a lot of accolades, but for his material and the length and how long he did it and
Right.
the breadth of material
Yeah.
is really, really phenomenal. Greg?
With my day job, I've met a lot of my idols. I repair guitars for
Yeah.
Rockstar, so
And design guitars too,
and,
right?
Yeah, build guitars for ZZ Top.
Yeah.
And so they say never meet your heroes, but in my case, most of my heroes have turned out to be really, really wonderful people that occasionally call me. But if it had to be one person, it'd be Harry Truman.
Interesting.
Harry Truman was intelligent, he was funny, and he was one of the bravest men to ever walk on the planet.
Well, my starting point with him would be, tell me about the decision. Yeah, because he had to make the most
He made
difficult
the worst,
decision.
There was no way to survive that with your integrity intact, and
Yeah.
he somehow figured out how to do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good one. That's a really, really good one. I did not know you had such an appreciation of history. This is why we do this, because get to know so much more about you guys, and I think it's really cool that fans will, when they come and see you guys after they watch this, will know you guys better, and
Well, they'll know Doc.
yeah. Well, they just know he's up there having fun.
He's
man.
gonna have fun. Because it's fun.
Yeah.
He's gonna have fun.
That's the most important thing, man. So, final question. I already know what your answer is going to be, but we'll start with Doc. Beatles or the Stones?
Beatles.
Okay.
Yeah, I would have to say the Beatles.
Come on.
Yeah.
And I'll say this,
Yeah.
because this question is as old as the hills.
That's why I always ask it as the last question. Yeah.
There would be no Stones without the Beatles.
Right.
But the Stones, Mick and Keith were geniuses because they mined a totally different vein. They did the American blues thing and they supercharged it. And they were very aware of what the Beatles were doing, and they positioned themselves similarly but not crossing over. And those two bands coexisted, and it was true genius on the part of Mick and Keith,
Yeah.
the way they rose to their prominence without really knocking the Beatles over, and
Yeah.
vice versa. And it's a very interesting question,
Yeah.
but I mean, the Beatles changed the world. Four young men changed the world with
Yeah.
music. Nobody
You-
else did that.
It's interesting because I always ask that question, and it's interesting because no matter where people fall, there's always like a little twinge of guilt where they kind of want to go, whether it's Beatles or Stones, and it's always like you said, however, like I don't want to crap all over the Stones, like but gun to my head, I'm going to tell you the Beatles.
Beatles could have covered the Stones. Stones never could have covered the Beatles.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
I've never heard it.
Good way.
I've never heard it stated that way, but that is a really, really good way of putting it. Before we wrap, Greg, I do want to give you a chance yourself. You mentioned the day job.
Yes, sir.
Just tell people about the day job, what you do.
I have a company called Greg Platzer Guitars. Very original name.
Yeah.
It took me a long time to come up with.
Kind of like Final Four, yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of like the night shift. Took me a long
I
time
think
to
you
come
and
up
I
with
were
that.
probably like racking our brains. And
Yeah.
I build and repair guitars.
Yeah.
And
Where can we find you?
GregPlatzerGuitars.com is my website, but I haven't updated it, and I don't even know when. Mainly on my Instagram, which is
Okay.
just all one word, Greg Platzer Guitars.
Okay.
And I'm very fortunate. My grandfather told me when I was a little kid, if you do your job right, eventually everybody will want to do business with you. And so what I've tried to do is always try to do the job right.
Yeah.
And thankfully, at 61 years old, I'm booked out the next 2 years.
Yeah.
I literally can't take on anymore. And Disturbed just sent me 6 guitars to work on, and that's going to put me back. So now I'm going to discount everybody a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm very fortunate that I get to do what I do. I don't have to do what I do. I get to
Right.
do it,
Right.
and it's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah. Thank goodness the passion's still there, right?
Oh,
At
absolutely,
61,
absolutely.
like,
Every day is a challenge.
Yeah.
God is good.
Yeah.
He puts, and there's that word challenge again, but
Yeah.
God puts challenges in my life, and when I'm fortunate enough to actually overcome a challenge, there's a little moment to take a breath, but the next one's coming immediately thereafter. And
Yeah.
I'm the luckiest guy.
Yeah. Greg and I were talking actually before we started rolling here, and we think we've got it down to where we go back to easily 1989, maybe 1988.
Maybe
which,
1988.
Which
If we could remember then,
Yeah.
we could probably.
Yeah, those late 80s, early 90s days. With, you did Citizen Kane,
Yeah.
and I was working at Starview at the time, and
It was a great time to be alive
it was
in South Central PA.
Yeah,
Yeah.
lot of gigs.
Oh man,
lot
great
of,
clubs, great
yeah,
fans.
Yeah, a lot of fun
It
times.
really was magic.
Yeah, a lot of fun times. A lot of really, really fun times. So, like you said, God is great, man. Here we sit in 2025, right? Isn't
Still
that
doing
cool?
it.
Yeah. Here we are, man. It's like crazy. Yeah.
We
Yeah.
are still in.
I know. We're
entertainment
still
business.
we're still doing this,
And the beautiful thing is,
blessed.
I mean,
Yeah.
you have such a great reputation
Yeah. Thank you.
and such a footprint in this area.
Thank you.
And people know what they're getting when they deal with you.
Yeah. Thank you.
And we're building the reputation on the band.
Yeah.
And so far, it has been absolutely amazing. 3 practices, 3 gigs, and go watch the videos.
And we're off. Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
have nothing but potential.
Yeah.
We just all gel.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we get one another, our corniness.
Yeah,
and
well,
everything,
again,
you know what I mean?
and before we were actually rolling on this, it's so obvious that you can tell when it's bullshit, right? And you guys,
Well, there's a lot of bullshit.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
good bullshit.
Especially Doc.
Yeah. It
Doc
works.
is actually angry all the time.
I can tell.
Yeah.
I'm
so angry.
I know. He's so angry.
He's actually a Doc impersonator.
Yeah,
He's a Doc tribute.
Yeah, right. So
Keith
again,
Emerson isn't dead. It's just playing Doc.
it's Doc. It's NixonTime.com.
NixonTime.com.
Yeah, and as you can learn, you guys' bios are on there. You click on the tour tab, and you'll see all of the
And
upcoming.
the
shows.
Facebook page is the most common.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
thing.
important.
We update the Facebook page constantly. I'm always putting videos of
Cool.
the band up, and
Yeah,
we encourage people to like the page and
Yeah.
interact with us. Send us
Yeah.
messages.
Yeah.
Tell us songs
Right.
you want to
Yeah.
hear.
I do the
How
same
can we
thing.
make it a
Yeah.
better experience for you?
Yeah.
If you give us the
Right.
opportunity, we will do it.
yeah. I've had people give me the feedback on this podcast, and it's not always hearts and flowers, and that's great. Then I talk to Jeff and say, I think Bob from Lebanon made a good point. Yeah, like
Well,
it's all
Bob
good.
from Lebanon's a pretty smart
He's
guy.
a sage. He's a sage
You know,
character.
this is a fellow we need to listen to.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I know schedules are busy. It's tough to get together, but thanks for making the time and hanging out. Thanks to Jeff, Ben, our friends at Moving Audio Imagery. Appreciate the conversation. I appreciate the time. It was great for me to get to know you guys better. I cannot wait to see this new incarnation of the band. I cannot wait to come and see you guys. I'm going to be the first person that's looking at that tour tab and looking at my own personal calendar and going, when? I got to come see you guys. I
Love
can't
that.
wait.
Yes.
Can't wait. But thank you so much for hanging out today.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you so
So
much.
we'll catch you next time for another edition of The Night Shift. Cut.
Good. Nice.
That was so much
Thank
fun.
you so much, man. That was outstanding. Thank you.
Yeah, that was so cool.